Welcome. My name is Darren Thomas and I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, we're going to explore the various features that are a part of the assignment activity in Moodle. In a previous video, I showed you how to create an assignment, but I didn't go over the detail of all the different features that can be used in an assignment. In this video, we will explore the different features, the different options that can be used when you are creating an assignment in Moodle. Before I explain this, I want you to remember the most important thing about Moodle. Before coming to Moodle, you must know exactly what you want to do in Moodle. Moodle, to give you an analogy, is like a mall or a market. There are lots of features, there are lots of different stores you can go into when you're doing your shopping. So many you can never make up your mind. However, if you have a list, if you know what you want to do in Moodle, you can bypass the things that do not help you to achieve your goals and to focus on specifically what you need in order to help your students when you're doing distance learning or if you're using Moodle as a learning management system. So in this particular video, we're looking at the assignment. And so this is an assignment I made in a prior video. I just want to explain to you some of the features. I already talked about availability. In availability, you have three different options there. You have what we call here allow for submission from. That's the first day that the students can submit the assignment. Then you also have the next one called due date. That is, of course, as you can tell, when the assignment is due. If they submit after that date, the assignment will be marked late so that the teachers know. However, the students can still continue to submit if they want to. The next feature is cutoff date. After this date, it is no longer possible for the student to submit an assignment in Moodle. The computer will not allow that. And so those are the three different choices you have in availability. The allow submission from, the due date, and the cutoff date. To activate any of these features, you just click on the enable right here, as you can see in the screen, and you have to select the dates and times for all of them. Now, this is just common sense, but just to make sure it's clear, the submission date or the allow submission from should be the earliest date. The due date should be somewhere in the middle, and the cutoff date should be the latest date. If you do anything else, it'll be weird and you might get an error message. Underneath availability, you have something called submission type. Here, we have several different options as well. You can click online text. If this is enabled by checking on the box, students can type something into Moodle as part of their submission. Again, whether you use this or not depends on your goals and your objectives for that particular assignment and how you want to use it. File submission, the next option to the right, is if you check that box, it'll allow the students to submit an assignment such in a Word document, a PDF, a PowerPoint, etc. Again, this is normally how assignments are submitted in Moodle. The word limit, this is the next option below, normally works in combination with the online text submission type. You can limit how many words the students can type into the online submission aspect if you so desire. The next available feature here off below this is maximum number of uploaded files. So here you can determine how many files the students can submit. They can submit up to 1 to 5. And this feature normally works in combination with the file submission feature at the top right here. Underneath that, you can determine the maximum submission size. This is normally in megabytes, down all the way down to kilobytes. So if you want to make sure the file is under a certain size, you can select whatever you want. Below submission type, the next section of feature is called feedback type. In the feedback section, it explains how the students can provide, how you as a teacher can provide feedback to your students. So you can check on the box called feedback comments. If you do that, when you are marking assignments, you can add comments that the students can read in Moodle, normally in the grade section. This is something that we will talk about in a future video. Offline grading worksheet allows you to use a file that is not a part of Moodle, and then perhaps if you want, you can upload it if you want later by checking on the feedback file box next to it. Inline comments allows you to take a student's comments or a student answer if they're using the online text feature in submission type and the student's response will be copied and pasted into a feedback section, and you can mark what the student wrote using different color fonts or whatever you want. It's almost like how you have in Microsoft Word the review features there, but not, of course, not exactly the same. Below the feedback types, you have a section called submission settings. These have to do obviously with the student's experience when they are actually submitting the assignment. And you can see here we have several options. Require the student to click the submit button. This is just a safety check so that the student knows that they're submitting something. Require the student to accept the submission statement. Many schools, many institutions have policies about plagiarism and academic dishonesty, and you might want to have the students to click on a box or to acknowledge that they have read this statement, and you can create this if you want it in Moodle. Underneath that, we have something called attempts to reopen. This allows the student to, if they want to resubmit, I believe, if necessary, but it's not a commonly used feature. If you look right here, it tells you if the students want to reopen something, that's if they want it. Below this, we have something called group submission settings. This is when students are working in groups. Again, for beginner Moodle people, this is not something that you're going to focus on a lot as you begin your experience with Moodle. But for those of us who are a little bit more comfortable with Moodle, putting students in groups and having the group submit an assignment is much more efficient than trying to remember who's in what group and et cetera, et cetera. Moodle will take care of all that for you automatically, and this is something that will be covered in a later discussion. Notifications are normally for graders. So here we have 3 different options. The first 2 are for graders, so normally like teachers or other people who are in charge of marking in a Moodle class or course. So when students submit assignments, graders will be notified. This is the first option here. If an assignment is late, graders are notified of that if you want to click yes to that. And then lastly, the settings for notifying students. Normally Moodle as a default will send a message when an assignment is submitted, and it will also send a message when an assignment is marked, so that way students know. Again, this is very important in online learning when you send an assignment off into space and you don't know what's happening. Moodle will inform you of when your assignment has been submitted and also when the assignment has been marked. And this little box here under notifications will allow you to control that feature. The last section we're going to look at here is the grading section. Again, the basic features work most of the time, but there are some unique special features in case you would like to experiment with those. Under grade, we have the thing called type, and it could be points, none, or scale. None means that the assignment is not worth any points. They just do it. A scale is when you, of course, can use a scale. This is something else that we will learn in a future video post. And points is the most traditional way to do it. You can see here underneath that you have a thing called scale. We cannot change this right now because we're not using scale. But if we were, it would be available, and you could use one of the many different scales that your institution has created or a scale you have developed. But again, that's for a later video. Now, if we select points, we have to consider the maximum number of points. Again, 100 is the most traditional amount because that's a percent. You can calculate a percentage from that, but you can select any amount of points you want. Below that, we have the grading method. Simple direct grading is the most common one. That's when you just assign a score. However, you can also use a marking guide, which is a little bit more complicated, and a rubric, which is probably something we're all familiar with. Rubric, of course, will be discussed in another video. Below that, you can select the category you want to put the assignment in. This relates to the grade book in Moodle, which we're not going to deal with in particular in this particular video, as you can probably already tell. After this grade to pass, this tells you the minimum score the student needs to achieve in order to pass the assignment. The benefit of this is that in the grade book, students who pass, their score will be in green. That means they were above the threshold you set. Students who did not pass, their scores will be in red. And again, this provides a visual for the teacher so you can get an idea of who is doing well and who is not doing well in the class. But it relates primarily to the grade book. Blind marking allows you to mark an assignment without knowing the name of the student. And using marking workflow and using marking allocation, this is if you need to have several different markers or several different graders grade an assignment. This is particularly true, like, for proficiency tests, where maybe you have to have several people look at a student's essay response or whatever, and then Moodle will not provide feedback until all the markers or all the graders have given their assessment. So this is the different features that are available in Moodle. In a future post, I will provide a practical example of developing an assignment when you have in mind specific goals that you want to achieve by using Moodle. That, in my opinion, is the number one thing to remember, as I've already mentioned several times. You must know what you want from Moodle before you go to Moodle. So thank you very much for spending time watching this video, and I look forward to you in a future video post. Thank you.